Welcome back to the Diomedes campaign, where last time Diomedes was able to finish off his business at the bottom of the map at last, while we carried on waiting for him to return, slaughtering absolutely billions of Trojans. Wave after wave broke upon our trash shields and were destroyed because they were even more trashy than us, as it turned out. But after all that, another wave, this time of Amazons, is showing up and disrupting the return of Diomedes, who is now going to go off on his own adventure instead. We get a thing here where the Spartans are asking us to join the war against the Trojans. Well, we might have already been in it, Sparta, you're not paying attention, and in fact, one of the things that annoyed me about the fact I had to defend against Troy is that everybody else pieced out of the war against the Trojans. It was actually just me by the end of it, or me and a couple of other factions. Maybe they're going to come back in now and that will help. Now with Diomedes, my plan was to go across the sea and attack the home territory of the Amazons while they clearly have most of their army about to attack me in the west. So we're just going to do the old Sun Tzu style switcheroo. I first wanted to go for this island here, but as I got close, I saw it was also packed with enemies. There's a stack and a bit of troops and a garrison, of course. I thought there would be nothing here because they have so much on the front line. Well, they've got even more stuff back here. I'm just going to ignore them and sail to the east. We're going to go for the very back of their territory instead, just to be as annoying as possible, and see how that goes. In the meantime, we've got plenty more armies to bring down. We've even got some Trojans still to finish off. Some of them actually sailed around the Peninsula of Death and are going back towards the Marathon area. In this case, they're not going to be able to get away with it because we can sail out with 2 stacks from that port and attack them right now. They are going to withdraw, which suggests we probably could beat them if we just went for it, so we'll just go for it like this. The balance bar here ends up being fine. We can auto-resolve that to a satisfactory conclusion. The Trojans still haven't worked out how to recruit units, and that's not going very well for them. Now the downside to all of this is that I end up just sitting here in the sea because I used up all my movement points. Not a very useful place. And actually it attracts the attention of the Amazons. Suddenly 3 armies sail towards us for a naval battle. It's actually a balanced setup though, because their armies are undersized and under strength. We're damaged a bit as well, but overall the 2 sides have about the same amount of stuff. And while I say naval battle, it actually just gives you a land battle if you manually resolve naval engagement. So it's a straight up normal fight, our first engagement with the Amazons, the first of many given how many armies are nearby. With our 2 stacks together we can form this gigantic bowl that takes up most of the map actually. Plus we are protected on one side by all of these cliffs that mean the edge of the bowl here can be closer to where the front line is going to be for nice easy flank attacks. We've also got a hidden element. The other side of the bowl is standing in long grass, which makes them hidden. Not very hidden when you actually look at them, but maybe all of their heads reflecting the sunlight or something will go unnoticed. As for the enemy side, their army has quite a lot of archers. I'm not sure, but I figure the Amazons are an archer-based civilization, or faction I should say. So we do have a little bit of a range disadvantage. We can counter that though with a simple method. Put the young spears and the militia in front, the arrow fodder method. So they'll just take some of the early hits while we start to close the distance once the battle starts. Here I'm actually walking towards the enemy while getting hit by arrows. Some Somme tactics as well, we're bringing out all the good ones for this battle. Once the melee units start to clash, we should have an advantage. I didn't check any of the numbers or anything, but it feels like the Amazons have lower melee stats. They certainly don't appear to bring much in terms of equipment to the battles, so we can probably win if we just brawl against them, that's all fine. And of course, as for all the archers that are left behind, our big encirclement will now come into play. We're going to rush at them with all of our runner tier units that run faster than other ones, and just go after all of the things that will skirmish away to stop them from shooting. And something similar happening on the other side, but a bit slower with a spear charge. But it's all doing the business. The enemy are now going to be forced to not attack us. These units can't shoot while moving like the Wood Elves or something, which maybe that could have been a feature for them to make them a more viable archer-based faction. With them out of the fight, it's really just the melee fight to conclude. And that should go our way because we have more stuff than them, and probably better stuff than them. And they have lots of units that are vulnerable to our slingers, so we can even gain something of a ranged advantage, you could say, as like 7 or 8 enemy units here are just being corralled around. It's more than that, in fact. Just archers everywhere, not participating or getting killed. This is not going to go very well, so the balance bar is still kind of even, but the enemy are actually in terrible trouble. Soon their melee units are going to be out of the picture, and everything will just be chasing the archers off the field, which is where we get to here. There are still 4 minutes left in the battle, but those are all going to be spent just running around trying to grab as many kills as possible as this mass rout turns into a slaughter. All good for us, and an early sign that the Amazons aren't going to be too difficult to deal with, as long as they keep doing archer builds at least, because the AI can't use them very well. It's so easy to just get them constantly skirmishing forever that archer builds I feel like won't really work. Unless it's in the hands of the player, where maybe some exploits with the enemy stuck standing still or something could be used to just spam arrows for a long time. After that battle, well, we're going to have another battle because the Amazons are all over the place, including all over Diomedes. A couple of armies come and attack him here, so another quote-unquote naval battle, being attacked from 2 sides as well. More of the same kinds of units, a bit more focus on melee units this time. We can't retreat because I think I was in the forced march equivalent in the sea, can't remember what it's called, the heavy rowing stance that means you can't leave, and you're always at low stamina in battle, so we will be debuffed by that. Because the enemy have reinforcements behind us, you can see I set up facing the back line of the battlefield, ready for something to spawn right in front of me to get this fight started right away. However, my earlier suspicions are correct. Things actually can't come onto the battlefield if the area they need to spawn in isn't clear. That means their reinforcements aren't appearing, and while I'm standing there waiting, their main army is getting closer. We want the reinforcements to be there as soon as possible, to try and close that part of the battle out and then turn around for the main battle. So after I move away from the line, they do indeed start appearing. I sense a powerful exploit here if we were to leave like 1 young spears unit in the deployment zone of the reinforcements so that they can't deploy and then fight them at our leisure later. Could be useful, but doing it the other way around is good as well, just fighting them immediately and trying to win before the main battle starts. We're going to have a nice outflanking path down the edge there, so nothing too special we need to do to actually defeat them. But we are already starting to be attacked by their main army. We're sacrificing some young spears there to distract the enemy's archers. Our slingers are having a good time, taking out those giants, a nice big target with their back to us, and I don't think they have much armor because they're the lowest tier of giants, so they should be weak against those slinger attacks. All good. The enemy archers are stuck in melee with our 2-handed axe guys. That's going to go poorly. And their commander is dueling with Diomedes, also going to go poorly. Diomedes remains virtually invincible in combat, and he's a specialist at killing enemy heroes, so we win that fight very fast. The main fight's really getting started now though, because they're charging in and attacking my slingers, and I wasn't diligent enough to get them out of the way in time. Perhaps I was hoping that the battle with the reinforcements would go faster or something. We do end up with the slingers in melee, trying to get those chariots to escape from enemy spears as well. All a bit dodgy, but there we go. Now the reinforcement battle is over. Their main blob is routing away. They don't have to rout very far, so we probably won't be able to kill many of them, but we don't need to. We just need to quickly turn around and do something about all this stuff over here. And we are going to form up a vague line in time, and the massive mess that it causes is somewhat to our advantage, because here our slingers are able to shoot the back of an enemy melee unit. Handy. We'll again be relying on ourselves having higher stats, and this time we almost certainly do, because Diomedes' army is all upgraded and buffed in various ways, so all of his normal units are much better than they're supposed to be. Should be fine, plus our chariots just about survive, just barely, and are able to move about in the enemy's back lines to keep the enemy's archers on their toes, and most importantly, not attacking us. So it's turning into a classic rout skirmish phase where everything's either just running away from us in skirmish mode or is actually running away from us with low morale. All we have to do is close the battle out by chasing them for a few more minutes. In the meantime, I got distracted looking at the environment again. Not the skybox this time, but the sea. It's because I've been trapped in the UK for a long time, famous for its miserable weather. Environments like this is basically my vacation playing Total War Troy. Going to Greece is a classic UK thing to do because it's just nice from our perspective at the very least. Well, there it is, I've been there now, and we killed a bunch of people while we were there. A quality vacation. A pretty decent victory. We did take some casualties there, some units are looking a bit weak, but hopefully we can go on and take a settlement to begin replenishing or something. Their second army, they're still very much alive, unfortunately, since we didn't get a good surround to kill them as they went. But, well, it just happened again. How many troops do these guys have? Well, not even guys, technically. 3 more Amazon armies appear. Again, they're undersized and under strength, so really it's the equivalent of about 1 army and a balanced setup. Time to do the battle we just did again, basically. Like before, we also have a rear attack to contend with. But I've made the same mistake, I've deployed too close to the line. I did try to be a bit further away. It feels like there's enough space there for the enemy's like 7 or 8 units to come onto the field, and I'm trying to widen my bowl to see if that will make them appear. Well, it didn't, we just needed to shuffle back a certain amount of space to make them show up. But we did it much faster than last time because I kind of understood what was going on. And here they are. It's a not full strength army of not full strength units that will now face most of my army. That means we don't need to do anything too special to win. Looks like our chariots are in amongst the enemy's archers. They'll just phase out of existence once they rout because they're so close to the line. Meaning not many kills will happen. But the other units we're going to surround and pound with these heroic axe runners. They're not going to last very long. Although again they will be able to escape just because of how difficult it is to attack moving units in this game, one of its major battle flaws that I feel like has been improved since I first played it, but I haven't really looked in that much detail. Three Kingdoms has the same problem, big time as well. While that's happening, their other units are making their advance, but not very well. Look how spread out they are, half their stuff still at the back of the map. I feel like the AI probably felt like it had to rush because it was already in combat from the beginning of the battle. Or it was just being bad and advancing without collecting its troops together. I feel like the AI in this game usually wouldn't make a mistake that bad, but Total War AIs do often do that for whatever reason. Maybe they had a reason this time. I'm being nice to the AI in this game because I kind of like it. As for what's happening, just random fights all over the place because the enemy are advancing with just groups running in all kinds of different directions. We're doing the same thing, trying to lock them down into combat. We've got their archers and archer general locked down on the right, and stuff happening vaguely in the middle. We're kind of just routing the enemy as they reach us and then rushing forwards and hitting more enemies still coming on from behind. So it's just a running battle where we win because our units are better and we have more units, so it's just a matter of time. Soon we're chasing them to the edge of the map again for a few minutes to get as many kills off this as we can. And that's another big win. Looks like Diomedes is actually profiting from the fact that we're being spammed by Amazons, because we're not losing that many troops. We get a few back because I keep taking on warriors, and there's the literal profit in that you get rewards for winning battles, so we made tons of food off of this raid as well. Then there's the long-term strategic profit in that there are like 9 fewer Amazon armies on the field at the end of this turn compared to at the start, so we now have a lot more freedom to move around. In particular, I thought we might as well go back and actually attack that island I passed by earlier. I thought surely there's not much there anymore. A few survivors along the way, well, we make short work of them. They were recruiting another army on this island, so they're ready for more, but we're going to step in and stop that from happening. So. I actually make a bit of a mistake here. I go in and night attack the town just out of instinct. It's usually a little bit better. But here, it would have been virtually the same to not night attack, and I would have killed the enemy's general outside the town. Instead, I'm now stuck in the town. The general will be forced to move away, and in the next turn I have to go and fight that 1-unit battle, which will just waste some movement points. Inconvenient. So at least now we've got a town to sit in. We can replenish our army back to full strength, and from here go and attack more Amazonian stuff nearby. And also with our defensive stacks, I figured we probably don't have to defend that much anymore. We've taken down pretty much everything that's nearby. I'm going to leave 1 stack behind, that one on the left, and have our 2 big armies just sail off vaguely towards the northeast and look for trouble. We are going to be doing this without Poseidon's blessing, so it will die somewhat along the way. I'm just going to do it. The AI does it to me all the time. It's clearly not that bad of a thing to do. and there are some nice juicy targets available over there. Same for Diomedes. We're going to sail out and just go after these undefended Amazonian settlements. They have absolutely loads of territory, perhaps even most of the territory over here. But with few armies now for the next couple of turns at least, we can claim a bit of it without much effort. Annoyingly, I couldn't make that attack this turn. Sometimes you can land and attack at the same time, sometimes you can't. Depends how close you land or something, or maybe you just need to have a couple of extra movement points. Can't quite remember because that's another thing that changes from game to game with Total War. Anyway, we're going to land and attack here at the very least, where I'm bringing my trash stacks to attack this walled city. I'm calling these guys trash stacks. This first of the 2 trash stacks is actually pretty good, much better than anything the enemy deploy. It's the second one that's real trash. But we want them here anyway because all of those warm bodies will improve the auto-resolve. We've also got Sean Bean's forces here nearby who will join this fight. Annoyingly, I can't land in the same place as the initial army. Not really sure why I'm trying to do that anyway, but we can still land this turn. And boom, we get this very one-sided city assault, so we can just skip the walls and auto-resolve our way in. Annoyingly, a lot of the casualties were on our units and not among our allies, so if we'd done that manually, we probably could have sacrificed our allies more, but whatever. We'll just replenish now and be fine. And again, this will make a great base to go and attack other nearby locations. We've of course got the Trojans to the north. You can see they're starting to rebuild. There's an army hanging around up there. And there are some Amazonian settlements to the east, cheekily throwing down the public order building there because we certainly don't want to have to sit around in this territory and control public order. We want to keep our momentum going as much as possible. As for Diomedes, this turn's going to be pretty easy for him. We just step forwards, it's a one-sided auto-resolve to grab that town. And there we go, now he'll replenish and be at full strength for next time. And there are more towns nearby to also do that too, so that's all looking good. Annoyingly though, Rhodes are back at it again. They declare war on me, and perhaps more importantly than that, they're calling in their allies, the guys on the mainland to the north who are a bigger faction than them. So now we've got a fairly major hostile area down and to our right that could disrupt my vague plans of going upwards. Well, we'll have to see. For now, we don't need to worry about them. We need to capitalize on more opportunities. I suppose this isn't really capitalizing. I just wanted to attack this enemy army that's standing here. Mainly because if there are no armies here, I can freely take towns and not have to recruit things to guard them. So here's a random field battle. It's kind of strange, it's a balanced engagement, but my army's way better than theirs. I feel like the balance bar is overvaluing the Amazons' strength. Not quite sure why. My initial battle tactic was to stand in front of them with Diomedes. I had hoped they would start firing arrows. He would just regenerate health faster than they could damage him and we'd use up all their ammo before we attacked. Not really worth doing, and it doesn't work because the AI appears to be explicitly programmed to not fall for that trick. I seem to remember trying it when I played as Sarpedon before as well, which is probably a good idea since it was pretty exploitative. The other exploit that doesn't work is baiting the enemy units out one by one. I did get one enemy unit to come and face Diomedes, but their whole army then advanced to support it. If this was Shogun 2, we'd have some delightful exploits where we just killed them one unit at a time. It's almost a shame that they bothered fixing the AI, but I suppose it's better this way. As for the battle, we are just going to run at them, and that's going to be absolutely fine. In some places we're running around them. Here was a place where I didn't run around them. I wanted to have my chariots go behind the enemy lines, but due to some rocks, they passed right into the front of a spear unit and got mostly annihilated, so that went particularly poorly. At least the rest of the fight's going to be fine, because we're just better than them, and that's why I say the balance bar is kind of lying. We can just engage them from the front and absolutely annihilate them very fast. Maybe their ranged units have a lot of balance bar presence, but in practice, they're just going to be running around the battlefield with giants chasing after them by the looks of things and occasionally getting slammed to the ground. Not going to do them any good. Similar story with the couple of surviving chariots that have gotten free of the melee and can now just run down some archers for fun. So yes, in practice, the Amazons seem like a really easy faction to fight because so much of their strength won't be applied in manually resolved battles, since the archers are just stuck skirmishing the whole time. And with Diomedes we can just kill their commanders whenever we want because he's so much better than them. That's handy. We absolutely annihilate them in that battle. Our chariots did take a pounding, but thanks to some weird replenishment jank, we can get all of them back. I think it's because replenishment might be acting on health instead of man count or something. So all of the dead chariots were only slightly dead, allowing them all to come back to life with only a small replenishment bonus or something. There's really no explaining it. For some reason, we're at full strength after the battle. We might have even made a profit in terms of troops. Let's just keep going. An enemy army's out of the way, another enemy settlement's down. We certainly still have momentum and we'll want to keep it going as much as possible, although the intervention of other factions could inconvenience that. So that's what we'll be looking at in the next part. My vague plan is to have Diomedes somehow sort out the bottom right part of Anatolia, and our two other armies will sort out the top part and maybe go after the Trojans as well. Need to see how much rebuilding they've actually done and how much of a threat they pose. I might want to send Diomedes to do that, since that actually was my plan for the longest time. We've been distracted from doing that yet again. Thank you for watching this part. Looks like we might actually approach something that looks like winning the campaign. Again, I don't know how to do it because I still haven't checked the objectives, but we're going to be in a good position to do whatever it is soon enough, I think.